Right, we are live. In a second, Mark. Here we are now going live. Just going to check on my phone. We are live, I think, now, Mark. How you doing, mate?
Oh, all is well. Living the dream as always.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Very good. I'm just going to check. We are live now. This is absolutely fantastic. This has all worked well. So yeah, we're good to go, mate. We've got three.
Excellent.
We've got 3 viewers already. So my stats say.
Lining up.
Yeah.
That's my dad,
Yeah.
my grandma, the postman. I told him I'd give him a mention.
What's his name? The postman?
Dave.
Dave the postman.
Yeah.
Okay. Original, mate. Real original.
Should have saved his mention till later, because otherwise he's just going to go now.
Yeah, he'll just leave. Well, we're down to 2 viewers already. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, welcome guys to another Ask VT, your show for all things competitive 40k and to help you become a better 40k gamer. Joined tonight by myself, Steve, and with Mark. So hope you are all well. If you're in the chat, I wonder if I can bring the chat up actually. Yeah. So Mark, how's life been treating you the last couple of weeks? Because you haven't been on for a couple of weeks because I've been away, which we're going to come on to.
I've used that time to do some painting.
Yeah.
I've got a list ready for. We've got a couple of tournaments coming up in the next month.
Yeah.
So we've got Battlefield Birmingham in 2 weeks.
We do. Yeah.
ETC tournament, and then we've got the London Grand Tournament 2 weeks after that. A big ITC tournament.
Yeah.
So I've got a reasonable list, and I've just been polishing it off, painting some guardsmen up.
Nice.
A knight as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
A few other bits. So I need to get out and play it a bit. I've had a couple of games with it.
Yeah.
I had 2 games with the list so far. It did pretty well in 1 game and got absolutely smashed by Jack's Tower in another game.
Oh, you played Jack's Tower?
Certainly did, yes.
Okay. I thought you played against his Space Marines.
We did 2 games, so not last week, not the weekend just gone, the weekend before.
Okay.
We played a game with our Battlefield Birmingham list,
Right.
and then we played a game after, because the codex hadn't dropped by that stage, but we'd seen enough of the stratagems to be able to
manufacture it.
Yeah, so I played a pure Custodes list against Jack's pure Space Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really good game, really close game actually.
Nice.
He ran them as Raven Guard.
Obviously, that's his favourite. Yeah.
It certainly is. He did a real good job with them actually. What I found was that the Primaris guys were, if he was sort of touching cover, they were really resilient, and it took a lot of shooting from the Custodes to try and clear them off. They stayed around a lot longer than usual. And also so one of the things we found out was that Custodes are usually saving on a 2-up against bolters.
Yeah.
So they mince through an old marine list.
Yeah.
Like butter. But with a -2 AP on the bolters, they were then saving on a 4-up. So I took a load of bikes and they died not easily, but certainly a lot easier than on a 2-up.
Right. Okay.
That was a big difference. So before the codex dropped, that would be a game I would have won pretty easily. But it was a loss, Jack. It was a narrow loss.
Mate, no, it's good to hear. Like Jack said, he had a really good game against you actually, and was excited to see how the basically the Space Marines have come on just within their own codex, let alone the supplement codexes. Yeah. So I've got both of the supplement codexes here. And we're going to be doing another show all about Space Marines, aren't we? And also, guys, this week I've got 2 really cool videos for you lined up. One of the videos is a review of the top combos that myself and Jack have put together when it comes to White Scars. We're going to be doing another one on Sunday for Ultramarines, and we also filmed a battle report with my ETC Inari Harlequin list versus his or basically a White Scars army that we used in an ITC format. So yeah, we've got loads of cool things coming out. I mean, I've been a little bit slack and a little bit behind just because I've been away. You know, preparing for the ETC was massive, and then obviously being away for literally 10 days and sort of getting back to work with Teambox in Vanguard Tactics and everything. So yeah, basically it's all things going now though, which is the main thing. And if guys you haven't done so already, then basically what we've got is which launched literally just before I left, is the ITC Masterclass video series that I've put together for you. So it is we've got a brand new membership site. So this is off Patreon. This is its own dedicated basically online learning platform just for you. And this is where all of our newest content is going to be going on to. I've put together a free course all about the ITC. So if you want to become a better ITC player, you want to understand the rules a little bit more, maybe you're currently playing the ITC, you want to really develop your knowledge. There's a quiz at the end as well, so you can test yourself. And also, if you're thinking about doing the ITC, then this is perfect, because so many people just pick the wrong secondaries, or they don't look at the mission properly, or they don't understand it, right?
Absolutely.
So
I think that I went through the course that you did because you sort of videoed it, set it all up, and I was really impressed with it. The true quality series. Even if you've been playing ITC, it's always good to have a refresher. Test yourself against it, and you might think, well, I'm doing all those things already, and if you are, awesome. But if there's one thing that you pick out of it, the videos aren't very long, but they're very informative.
Yeah.
So remember, guys, this is completely 100% free. All you got to do is go to the link that Steve's will put in the YouTube description for this video.
It's literally down below already,
All right.
And it says just to sign up there for that free course. So yeah.
So we've also got a totally free Facebook group that we're running. We think I've got about 40 members in it already, of people that have done the course. There's a little link to it. You can join that immediately after you've been through that course. Like what you've done, you have to go through it. It shows you the link straight away. Join in. There's people posting lists and getting advice, and it's a nice little hub for competitive players to come together.
Definitely, exactly. And we've already got people in the chat, so we'll do a quick shout out to the guys in the chat. We've got Kieran, we've got Linton, we've got Ian James, Tim C, Jack Frazier, Michael, how you boys doing? Jared, how you doing? Ian, Brian's in the chat. One guy has said, Filio666, I've subscribed to the course, good man. So yeah, also guys, so I tested Manny Chima when I was on the way to Serbia. He's number 3 at the moment in the ITC.
In the world, yeah.
In the world, he failed the ITC test. That's how hard it is. He failed the test. So did Adam, who I was with, and so did Dan Bates. They all failed the test. So can you beat Manny Chima and pass the exam? He got 3 questions wrong out of the 10. Yeah, see if you can beat Manny Chima, and then you can hold it against him forevermore. You might not be able to beat him on the tabletop, but you might be able to beat him in the quiz, and that's where it counts, guys, remember. So Manny Chima, you've been called out, bro. You'd up your knowledge. Maybe sign up for the course, Manny.
Culture of pants.
Yeah. So yeah, that's awesome that so many people have already signed up. I think we've had about nearly 100 people sign up for that course already, and we haven't really spoke about it much. So yeah, guys, get and sign up for it. Get and join our Facebook group while it's active. It's only a pop-up group, yeah. Some people are asking, where is the test? It's actually in the mentorship, in the members area. It's the last lesson that should now appear. So go check that out, Ian, and go quiz yourself. Yeah.
Cool.
So what are we talking about on today's show, Mark?
Well, you're gonna talk us through the story of your ETC World Cup.
Okay.
The highs, the lows, the arm wrestles, the one beer that you had, the wins, the losses, the characters you met, the games you played, all the hot hot gossip from yourself, live and direct, post ETC.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking all things, World Cup, which is basically the ETC. It's the same sort of thing. They should just call it the World Cup. It sounds cooler. Anyway, so we've also got a few questions in the chat, so keep those questions coming, guys, and I'll scroll through the chat at the end, and we'll basically go through any of the questions you've got. I've got someone asking me, can you tell us one thing that got you excited about the Ultramarine supplement? I'll give you one thing. The only reason why I really like Ultramarines at the moment is because I hate Maelstrom cards, and they have one stratagem for 2 CP, so I can change all of the cards in my hand. So yeah, the next tournament we're doing is ETC style at Battlefield Birmingham. So I will be changing all of my cards on a regular basis. But anyway, there's some nice other cool stuff. But yeah, guys, if you want, loads of questions are coming in, so keep those coming in. So, Mark, where shall I start? Shall I start from the very beginning? What happened?
Sure. So I think that you've announced, or I would guess that everybody knows you're announced as the captain of the United Nations team.
Mm-hmm.
So we also know that from various lives on the Glasshammer page that you were in a car for 2 days with Adam, Manny, and Dan.
Yeah, from Glasshammer. Yep.
And then so you've turned up. The start of the story you've turned up with 2 armies,
mm-hmm.
one for the singles. So you're playing the singles for a bit of warm up, and then you get into the main event, meeting up with your team, and then getting stuck into the World Cup proper. So run us through the singles to start with, bit of a warm up for you.
Well, basically before I start, one guy I want to mention who's been our Patreon from day one, who I met all the way from Argentina, who was playing for Argentina, was On Rock. So On Rock, how you doing, mate? Give you a huge shout out. So it was really cool for us to finally meet, and I gave him a Vanguard Tactics dice. Is the least I could do. So anyway, it was cool to meet. It was actually amazing being in such a competitive place, having so many people come up to me saying they love the channel, coming up to me, all the Greek guys were saying, Steve, what's the play? Off obviously what I do on Facebook. So that was really cool. Yeah. And I just really appreciate all of the support. So everyone I met, was Vanguard Tactics we're making waves. That's one thing, Mark, anyway.
Sure.
So I had 30 hours in a car with Manny, Dan, and Adam, hearing about how awful my list was.
Yeah, for 30 straight hours. Yeah.
For 30 straight hours, Dan Bates did not let up about how he thought my list was terrible, how it was awful, and how he would do anything to play against my list in the ETC team event. So obviously that filled me with confidence going into the tournament. I had 3 hours sleep before we left. I then had 3 hours sleep because Manny didn't quite book us into the most luxurious of places. I would literally call it a crack den. So I slept in a chair for 3 hours because I didn't want to touch the bed. So I had another, and then I slept on the floor for about an hour. So I had basically 6 hours of sleep. And then we got to the apartment and I didn't sleep well again for other reasons. So basically I had 9 hours sleep over 3 days, and then I had to go and play in the singles, and then Glasshammer kindly put me on stream. So probably wasn't my freshest or the happiest. I'm extremely grouchy when I haven't had any sleep. So I'm up against Plague Bearers, Zangors, and all that kind of stuff, and I'm using the Death Watch. And basically I took the Death Watch Knight in Tank Commanders for the singles event. I thought it was well rounded, and then also I was going to play my Harlequin Yanari in the team event. So I rock up to this game and I go second. I've only got one chance of winning a matchup, and that's if I go first against Plague Bearers. So got absolutely smashed, couldn't kill enough, and basically lost game one. If I go first, I've got much more chance against that list, but unfortunately I didn't. So he Dark Matter Crystalled everything over, the Bloodletters jumped in, the Plague Bearers moved up. In my first turn I did kill 3 Lord Discordants as well, but anyway, it wasn't enough. Game 2, I'm up against Tau, and my opponent unfortunately clocked out at turn 3. So I basically got a 20-0 on that one. And then the game 3, I was up against 3 Crusader Knights against the Finnish captain. Really nice guy, really, really cool. And basically, he went first and did 17 damage with 1 battle cannon to my knight. I failed every single save. I made 1, and that was with a reroll, but basically failing 7 saves and him blowing up my knight within literally 1 gun was enough to pretty much call it at that point, because he had his other 2 Crusaders to start picking on the Death Watch and picking on the tank commanders, unfortunately. And then in return, I couldn't do anything. I think he made all but 1 save, and I did 3 damage to his knight in return. So, and at this point, I said to him, "Look, I'm really sorry. I'm not feeling well." I was literally on death's door at this point. I was slamming back Nurofen like no tomorrow through lack of sleep, dehydration. It was like 37 degrees there in the hall. It wasn't the nicest playing experience for me. So I was kind of happy that game ended very, very quickly and I could go and just sit and chill out. So then day 2, I'm on to playing Knights, Renegade Knights in Magnus. I needed to go first. I did go first, and I won that game 20-0. So I killed their Renegade Knight turn 1, killed Magnus turn 2. So yeah, that went really, really well for me. So it was just interesting to see how that game goes if I go first against the Plague Bearers, basically. How many I do kill. And I think I had domination by the end of the game. So it was a pretty decisive win. And then game 4, I was up against 3 Lord Discordants and the Plague Bearer spam list like I was up against game 1. And again, I went second. I screened out really, really well this time, much better than before. Gave myself the best possible chance to retaliate. But in the end, it was the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen. I put my tank commander, my knight, all of my Death Watch firing into 1 Lord Discordant, and he made every single save possible. I then charged in with 2. He had 3 wounds remaining. I charged in with my knight, and I charged in with both of my squads of Death Watch. And the knight failed to do a single damage. And in return, he then spent 2 CPs and blew up my knight. He did exactly 24 wounds, and I was just like, this should not be possible. My Death Watch also then failed to do the remaining 2 damage. Yeah, I was pretty much...
You weren't having a good run, were you?
No, I was tired, and it was just very much kind of... Because at the ETC there are such extreme lists, in the singles event, they can often just go down to a coin flip. Whether if you need first turn and you don't get it, then in those matchups could have gone exactly the other way if I'd have got the first turn when I needed it, basically. And at this point I was just extremely knackered, extremely fatigued, and I wanted to save myself for the team event, so I just pulled out of game 6, sorry.
So you've it's not gone your way. You've had bad luck. You're knackered. You've had a little sleep. Mm-hmm. So you've gone, right, I'm going to cut my losses, eat some pizza, chill out, have a rest, save myself the team tournament, and then I'm going to smash it.
Well, I didn't have the most confidence going into the team event, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I can imagine. I got a question for you.
Yep.
It's been a while since you played Death Watch, consistently. Do you think that they're as decent as they were, when you're playing them like 8 months ago, or the meta caught up a bit, or? Well,
I did actually take them to Cali, the last tournament, and I did the good with them there. I was really happy with my performance actually with them. Are they that good? Well, they've never been that good. I just caught people off guard. That was it. People just now know their tricks. That's the only difference.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So they're still exactly the same as what they were, but the knight has changed a lot. Not having that 3-up, it's just so easy to kill him now. So I think for me, I will be dropping the knight I like the tank commanders, and I think that's probably the way to go in future. It's just more tank commanders. Yeah.
Cool. So, did you meet up with your team the night before you started, or on the morning?
Okay, so some of the guys were playing in the singles. So a guy called Michael from America, Olivier, who absolutely bossed it and came like 5th, I think, in the singles. He was playing the Dracari. And then Marco was playing in the singles from Italy. So, yeah, a few of the boys were playing in the singles event, so I met them. But most of it, we actually met on the morning of the ETC. So we've had literally no time to prepare as a team. We literally had 10 minutes to go through the pairings. So shall I go through what pairings means? Because a lot of podcasts talk about the pairings, but I don't think really anyone explains it properly.
Well, if you don't mind, just take a step back as a bit of a refresher. As a high-level overview, would you talk me through what your list your team were running? You know, what factions they were running?
Okay, so in the ETC team event, you have 8 players, okay?
Yep.
Each of those 8 players can only take a codex once, okay? So if you take Imperial Guard as a, Loyal 32, then basically nobody else can take Guard, all right?
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it really limits your team, especially as we were sort of a mismatched group bunch, and a lot of people played Dracari, so we all had to make some sacrifices here, there, and everywhere. And then basically I ended up playing with the models I had, which was Harlequins and Eldar, that nobody else was taking. And I thought, I had an idea about the list, which we'll come on to. But basically, we had a Tau player, we had a Necron player, so our Tau player is good against anti-Horde and anti-Mech, so it's a very good, and also in the ETC format, the way it works is that 50% of your team get to pick the table you play on, and they go from being empty boards up to heavy terrain boards. So when the Tau player gets to pick his, planet bowling ball table, he normally just wipes off their opponent, okay?
Yeah, sure.
So we had a Tau list that did very well against other Tau lists, and also did very well against Horde, and also can kill Knights, so it's a good well-rounder, okay?
Yeah.
We then had a Necron player that was designed to kill Horde, because he had so many Tesla Tomb Blades.
Yeah.
We then had the Dracari player that had Grotesques. So again, good at killing Horde, good at killing elites, basically good at killing anything. I think the only matchup he really struggles against is Eldar Flyers, because he doesn't have that much of a punch to kill them.
Yeah, sure.
Then we've got a Knight player. Again, three Crusaders with the Admech, so pretty well-rounded. Can kill Knights, can hard against Hordes, that's the problem. So each list kind of has its favourable matchups and then its least favourable matchups. So what we want to try and do in the pairings, and I'm going to come on to that, is you want to try and get your players to avoid their worst matchups and get their best ones. Okay? We then had I think 200 model Plague Bearer list, which was our Horde, to basically swamp the board. I can't even imagine playing that or playing against it. It just sounds horrible. And then we had a guard army with literally Chimera spam. So just loads of toughness 7 models on the table, hard to shift, and basically got board control that way. Doesn't really kill much, but it just holds everything, essentially. Yeah. Good on the Maelstrom. And then we've got a Renegade Knight list, Magnus Immorti. So this is a kind of bit of a trick list. And also having 2 Knight armies in your roster is hard for your opponent to pair against. It means that we can really start to bully other armies that aren't very good at killing Knights, basically.
Yeah. So, and I think you told me that it wasn't in time to use the Chaos Knight Codex.
Unfortunately not.
It was using the old rules for it.
Yeah, unfortunately not, yeah. And then finally my list was my awful list, as some would call it. 3 Crimson Hunters, 2 units of Harlequin jet bikes with Haywire, the Incarn, 3 units of Harlequins on foot, a Troop Master, and then Farseer Skyrunner, Warlock Skyrunner, and 3 units of Dire Avengers. So all the Eldar was a Latok, and then the Harlequins I actually made Ynnari, not... so when you take Ynnari, and I'm going to do a video on Ynnari, but I didn't want to do the video before I played in ETC, because I'd be giving all my tricks away.
Got you.
But I'm going to do a full-on review of how the list works, and why I play it in such a way. But basically, you lose a lot when you go to Ynnari now, okay? So if you take a Ynnari model or character like the Incarn, he can either plug in to an army that doesn't contain any named characters and not ruin the Harlequin abilities. They can all stay Harlequins, okay? And you can just put him in, basically, okay? Or what you can do is make all of the Harlequins Ynnari. So they lose their stratagems, they lose their psychic powers, and they also lose their relics, warlord traits, and they also lose the mask. So, for example, Soaring Spike, which allows you to advance and still shoot without any penalties, or the Frozen Stars. They can still fall back in charge, and they can still advance in charge, and they still keep their flip belts. Okay. But what they do gain is Soul Burst. So when a unit dies on the table, it triggers a Soul Burst, no matter where it happened, whether it's your unit or your opponent's unit, and basically you then fight first. If you charge as well, then you get +1 to hit. So now your Harlequins are hitting on 2s, and they're fighting first. And there's loads of cool stratagems that are melee based. So they've lost all their shooting ability, and they're just primarily a melee army. So this is where I use the Harlequin bikes to the biggest effect. I can still fire and fade them. I can still lightning fast reflex them because they have those stratagems. But for 1 CP, I can give a unit +1 attack each. And then for 2 CPs, I can get rerolls to wound in combat. So yeah. Really, really handy. And the Incarn is so good in my hands.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. I don't even mean that in a big-headed way, but I had to build this list around him, her, the Incarn, basically. I tried loads of combos, and it wasn't quite working until I made the list completely, solely melee focused. And there's still loads of aspects in my list I would get rid of and put more melee units in.
I can vouch for this. I've played against that thing on numerous occasions, and the times that I've managed to, I think I've beaten you twice with it. But you beat it yourself. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, is that the psychic powers didn't go off. It was when you're playing the old Ynnari, and the Incarn's left in the middle of nowhere, and I managed to basically shoot it off the board. But it wasn't my skill as a general that did it. It was that your psychic powers didn't go off, and that was the problem with that list. I suppose.
Yeah. So now I'm not so reliant on those psychic powers.
Yeah.
In fact, I could fail all my psychic powers, and I don't really care.
I think that there's a lot of skill to use that model correctly, and if you can, it's devastating. And I've seen you do it, and others I've seen not get anywhere near the potential out of it. So then they go, I'm going to take this out because it's 350 points or whatever. New ceramic, I'll put in some more venoms.
Yeah.
But actually, if you spent a lot of time to really understand how it works, it is one of the best models in the game. I think one of the best units in the game.
It's just so unique, right? So basically, the premise is, as soon as something dies, I can take its place, okay? I can't charge, but I can heroically intervene. That's one thing I can do, okay? Now, a lot of people play too aggressive with the Incarn, and it dies. So basically, all game, I am waiting for one moment, and I'm trying to force my opponent to make a mistake. And when they make that mistake, I'm going to punish them so hard for it. And I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it just goes bang. Here it is, it pops up, and it's untouchable. it really is untouchable. And I'm going to go through my games and tell you how I managed to do well with that list, with my awful list, as Dan would call it. And every time I'd go back up to see Dan and Adam, they were like, "How's the awful list getting on?" And they didn't use the word awful, by the way. I'm just keeping it clean, okay?
Yeah. For the kids and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that was basically the team overview, my army overview. So then it gets into pairings, okay?
Okay.
So
pairings set up then.
So basically, Olivier, our French guy on our team, he's an absolute wizard when it comes to he's got this really cool computer thing, and it tells us if we're making the right decisions in the pairings, okay? So let me tell you how it works. So basically, we put forward a defender. So we put forward an army face down, okay? So let's say we led out with our Tau. They would also put down a defender. And let's say they led out with their Admech, okay? We don't know who they've led with. So this happens at the same time. They both get turned over, okay? Everyone with me so far? If you're not in the chat, let me know. Then what happens is we then look at their Admech list, okay? And then we put forward 2 armies that we want to put against it, okay? And I don't mean 2 on 1, but 2 options for them to pick. And then they put 2 options in against our Tau, okay?
Okay.
We then decide, so we swap that over. So we then decide what army do we want our Tau to play, okay? So let's say they've put forward, I don't know, Eldar Plains and the other Tau list, for example, okay? So we would think, okay, we'd look at our sheet, and we got all of our players to do something called a matrix. So what they do is in our matrix is basically an Excel spreadsheet, and it's a grid format, and you have to put in your army versus theirs, how many points you think you're going to score out of 20. So 20 is the maximum, 0 is the minimum, okay? And normally people would put a 0, a 5, a 10, a 15. Not many people ever put a 20, okay? Because you're playing it the best of the best, okay?
Yes.
So it only takes a couple of dice rolls to go the wrong way. Maybe you don't get to pick the deployment, whatever, a few bad Maelstrom cards, and your win on paper is just a 15. You can still win the game, but it's not going to be a 20-0, okay? So we look at that and we think, right, which is going to be the most favourable option here? So sometimes we have to throw someone under the bus. So let's say they've got that list that nobody wants to play, okay? And if we can get rid of it, we can sacrifice a loss. Because as a team, you need 80, I think it's more than 86 points to win the round, okay? So obviously there's 8 players, a 20-0 each, so there's a maximum of 160 points up for grabs, okay, in that round. So if you score 86 of that 160, you win the round and you go on to play another winning team, okay? So sometimes you go, cool, we'll just take a loss on that one and we'll just accept then our other players will have an easier time in the pairings, all right? So once you've decided which army you want to play, they do the same. You pass the other ones back that you don't want to play, and then basically that happens again, all right? So you put another defender forward, and you do this until you literally get down to the last 4, and this is called the swing round, where you put forward a defender, they put forward a defender, you then put a champion in the hole, so one, just like you take one of your armies and you think this one is going to go at the end, and I'm going to come on to that in a minute. Then what happens is you put another 2 armies forward to go against the other defender, and then they pick one, they reject one, you have to do the same. So all of a sudden, in about 10 seconds, you've matched off 4 armies, okay?
Yeah.
So whoever they put is their champion, the 2 champions play off, okay? So you've got to try and predict who their champion's going to be. Yeah. And this is actually what I learned a lot about, and I really sort of started to come into my own, especially in the last 3 games. I could kind of predict a lot of it. I was saying to Olivier, this is going to be their champion. I'm calling it now. Let's go with this one. And often I was right. So that really helped us. So anyway, game 1, we're up against UN2, the United Nations second team or B team, whatever you want to call it. And
so Alex Harrison's the captain
He
for that,
is.
wasn't he?
Alex did a fantastic job as well. Really, really did. And so it was me versus him at the pairings. So then what happens is I had to throw myself under the bus in Play Against Deathwatch.
Okay.
So my army against... In fact, on paper, I had the worst list in this round. Okay? I think there was only one army that I'm good against. The rest I was awful against. So I took Deathwatch. And basically, I was predicted 5 points, and I managed to win 16-4.
Nice, nicely done.
And I just played extremely conservative.
So, just a question: which country were you playing against in first? Oh, sorry, it was UN. You said, wasn't it? Yeah. So the other United Nations. Did anybody else from that team that we know in UN 2?
Jordan, who I played with the Eldar Flyers, who's also my grudge match when it comes to arm wrestles.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
That was that. So I was really happy that I didn't only lose that game, but I actually won it, and I won big. So really happy with how I played. I think what worked for me was that he was expecting to get a 20-0. Okay?
Yeah.
So I could afford to play extremely defensive, not push for points, and just let him make mistakes.
Okay.
Plus, I know Deathwatch so well, I was thinking, if I was him, I would do this.
Yeah.
So I can just make sure my units aren't there. So that's where, for me, is knowing that army inside out. And again, this is something that we teach on our year-long mentorship program, which if you want to look into, there are links to it through our website, stuff like that. Once you've done the ITC Masterclass, you can take a look at it. But basically, there's no gotcha moments then. Do you know what I mean? When you know an army inside out, you know how it's going to play. On tabletop, you go, cool, I know exactly what you're going to do, son. And I'm going to wait. I'm going to bide my time, and I'm going to basically outplay you. So that's kind of what I tried to do, and it worked.
Cool. How did your team get on?
We won the round, yeah.
Awesome.
So UN 1 beat UN 2.
Fantastic.
We then go up against Canada, round 2. And these guys here are, the Canadian team. You've got TJ Lanigan in there, who's number 2 in the world at the moment for ITC. You've got Scary, a guy called Tim that I played, fantastic player. You've got a team of absolute, really top quality players there. Jeff, I think his name Jeff Brown, I think his surname, really top quality players. So basically, I'm up against the Eldar, and actually on paper, I'm looking really good here. So I went from being the worst player on paper to now the best player on paper because they've got 5 repulsors, they've got knights, they've got venom spam. I'm great against all those armies.
Yeah.
But I ended up playing against a guy called Tim, who's an absolute legend, a gent, and really great sport. And he had 3 Crimson Hunters, 3 Fire Prisms, 3 Night Spinners, and 2 Wave Serpents.
Yep.
And I was like, if I go first, I've got a chance. But I've got to really hit hard with this list. I went first, but I didn't kill a thing. Not a sausage. He then retaliated and killed 2 of my planes. And I was like, this is not going well. And he then there was a moment in our game where he had my Incarn surrounded. And basically, he was an absolute sport with this as well. So basically what happens is, every time an Eldari model dies within a radius of the Incarn, I get wounds back on a 4-up.
Yeah.
And basically, he had done enough damage to kill the Incarn. But basically, because I should have rolled 2 dice to see if I get a wound back, I was alive on 1.
Yeah.
So I should have done that just before he then rolled his next shots, but because it all happened so quickly. Anyway, so we had a really good game, and the Incarn, I actually surrounded my Incarn with my own models, and then what happened was that he killed all my surrounding models, but then I regenerated back up to full health.
Okay.
And then the Incarn killed 3 planes, a Fire Prism, 2 Wave Serpents, his Warlord, and a Night Spinner.
Some sort of diabolical destruction derby.
Yeah.
With one model.
Pretty much.
poor Tim, I imagine no one hit him.
Yeah. So Tim was like, "Oh God," I couldn't believe it. So yeah, but we had a really great game, and that ended up being a 20-0 to me.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we lost a round against Canada. Then we were up against Greece. I think it was Greece next. Another top tier team. Did really, really well. I think they came in the top 10. And I'm up against Necrons.
Okay.
And I said to the guy, were you looking forward to this game? He said, absolutely not. Nobody on my team wanted to play you. I was like,
oh, really?
Okay, I'll take that as a compliment, I think.
Yeah.
If in some of the Greek guys as well, if you're watching, because I know they said they do watch the old Vanguard Tactics, it was great to meet you all, and you guys were absolutely wicked. Like, I think our best games were against Canada and also Greece. As a team, we all had a really wicked time playing them. In Canada, I ended up winning best sport, and I voted for them to be best sport because they genuinely were. Great bunch of guys, as were Greece. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm up against Necrons. He had the 3 flying croissants with that horrible stratagem. So I was like, cool, need to seize.
Multiple wound stratagem, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, I seize.
3d3.
I seize, Mark.
Oh wow, that's the first time ever.
and don't you worry, I let everyone in the hall know it. And I apologised to my opponent.
Press up, celebrate.
Yeah, I apologised to my opponent and I said, look, I'm really sorry, but I've never seized before, so this is big for me.
Yeah.
So I killed one flyer, but he then kills 2 of mine in his first turn. So I stopped the stratagem going off, but I have lost 2 Crimson Hunters at this point. Because he's got 3 of those horrible shooty things Dan really likes. They're like D6 shots, strength 10, -5, D6 damage things with quantum shielding. But again, the Incarn, oh my god, just killed everything. Killed 2 planes, killed 5 destroyers, killed one of those thingies. It was
Soul Steel. Are they? No, that's the Tau. I'm trying to think of the name of those things.
I can't think of it. So anyway, he just killed the Incarn. Killed everything.
The chat will tell us.
Yeah, killed everything. So yeah. Doomsday Arcs, that's it, yeah.
That's the one. I knew it was Arc something, but I couldn't remember what it was.
My Haywire does really good against them, so they did okay. But then I was like sacrificing units of Harlequins to kill Warlords, and then he would then shoot them with his unit of Immortals, and then I would pop up within 3, heroically intervene, wipe out his squad. It was like the Incarn just... There was no place where he couldn't be, and he just did everything in that game, yeah. So that was that. Then I'm up against I can't now. My memory's starting to go. I can't even remember who we played round 4.
So how did your team get on?
We lost
against Greece.
We lost.
Okay.
So we're on 1 win and 2 losses at this point. Okay?
Okay.
We then go up against, that's it. I can't remember the team, but I played against Gene Stealer Cult.
Was it one of the Eastern Europeans, like Ukraine or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. I can't.
Memorable.
I can't. Yeah. It could. Honestly, I forget. So basically, I'm up against Gene Stealer Cult again. Nobody wanted to play Gene Stealer Cult, so I was like, okay, I'll take it. And I played the most offensive game I've ever played. And the only reason why I won was that I had half the board, he had half the board. And I ended up winning. I predicted a 5, and I got another 16 out of it. But basically, what I did was scored well on my Maelstrom. I had half the board, he had half the board. But what I did was I just made sure that I zoned out 6 inches so that he couldn't bring in his flamers anywhere. And then as soon as he did, it was only against a small unit, and I could then kill them in return. And then when he dropped in his aberrants, I forced him to drop his aberrants in his own table edge to kill my Harlequin bike. So I was basically swapping. I was never going to kill the aberrants, and I knew everything they touched, they would just kill of mine. So all I could do was basically put the aberrants back in his own deployment zone so he could get nowhere near me. Sure. And it worked well. And I beat him on the Maelstrom, I beat him on kill points, and on the Eternal War as well. So because I got that speed in. I got an early lead, and I basically just made sure I kept it. But there was one moment. So two ridiculous things happened in this game. I lightning fast one of my planes. So he's got 6 Hive Guard. They get 12 shots. They hit on 3s. I've got an Elatok flyer with lightning fast reflexes. So what is he hitting on now, Mark? Do the math.
So say again.
So he hits on 3s, and he's now
Yeah.
-3 to hit. What does he hit on?
Yeah. 6s.
Guess how many 6s he rolled out of 12?
Oh, if it's you, because you're unlucky, about 8.
He rolled 8.
Oh, okay, great guess, yeah.
Yeah, he rolled 8 6s out of 12. With no rerolls, by the way. Okay, so then he wounds on a 3. Guess how many he rolls?
8.
No, he rolls 6.
Oh, just the 6. Okay.
Just a 6. They do 2 damage each.
Yeah.
Guess how many saves I made of 5 up?
No.
None.
Yeah.
So guess what happened to my plane?
It exploded?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it might. Did you roll a 6 on the explosion?
No, I didn't actually. That bit I didn't roll a 6, but
It just died,
It just
basically.
died, yeah. It just
Okay.
not exploded with the mortal wound thing. It's just it died.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh Jesus, it's going to be one of those games. Anyway, and then later on, I put another Crimson Hunter with 6 wounds left next to his big shooting monster thing, and 6 Hive Guard, right?
Yep.
I planted it within 2 inches, right? And I was like, cool. He's going to shoot that with his Hive Guard. He's got no CPs to fire again. Once that's dead, I can then heroically intervene with my Incarn into the 6 Hive Guard, kill all them, then in my turn, kill his big monster, smite his unit, clear him off his own objective, and it's going to be a 20-0, right?
Okay.
He did a smite.
Oh, okay.
And guess how many wounds he did to my plane?
3?
6.
Oh, he was super smart, was it? Yeah, okay.
Just killed my... just killed him.
Yeah.
Just killed him. And I was like, well, I'm never, ever now going to put my Incarn down from a... Because then he's going to shoot me. Because he's still got his shooting phase. Because normally what I want to do is put the Incarn down after the shooting phase is over, when the last shot's been fired. And I told him, I said to him, look, that was so big. And I'm going to tell you why at the very end of the game, why that was so big.
Yeah.
And I told him, and he was like, oh my God, yeah, I got off so lucky. I was like, yeah. But anyway, it's still a 16-4, so I was really happy with that. So then my next game, I'm up against Belgium. That's it. And I'm up against 100 Storm Guardians with a 4-up invulnerable save, 6-up feel no pain, fearless, 24 models per squad. And he had 3 Night Spinners and 4 planes. Yeah. And we had a really good game against a guy called Henrik. And
now, Henrik has messaged earlier and said that there's some contention over the result. We'll leave that to tell the story, and you can clear it up at the end.
Yeah, so basically the result was at the very end a 12-8.
Talk us through the game then.
Okay,
first.
So what happens is Henrik says to me, look, I kind of know what the Incarn does. You can heroically intervene, can't you? And I said, yes, I can. And I will never, ever lie to an opponent. So I said, right, bear in mind. So he goes, if I'm over 3 inches away, you can't intervene, right? And I said, no, I still can, because my base is so much bigger than whatever I die. If that makes sense?
Yeah, you got it.
And I didn't... Was I obliged to tell him? Probably not. But I did, because I'm an honest guy. So anyway, we measured out my base. And
yeah, but also, so the thing is then that if you then play the game, and he says, "Oh, hang on, I thought that I think that if he's asking for your intention, that's very sportsmanlike of you, but also the right thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Like if anything else than that, you're just it's a bit of a dick move, really, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, like, credit to you, mate. They are very sportsmanlike.
Yeah, like I didn't have to make it obvious that my base was bigger, but I did. So I said, look, you need to be over basically 6 inches. If you measure out my base and measure out the 3 inches, then I've got to be 6 inches away. And he's like, okay, cool. Now, because he had so many models, there was a point in the game where we're playing the mission where you had to control both of your home objectives to score a point. Okay, and you had to score both middle objectives to score 2 points, and if you control both of your opponent's objectives, you score 3. So the only way I'm going to just deny him killing me outright, he's got a horde basically, and he's got more planes than I've got, and my Incarn doesn't do that much in this matchup. So the only thing I could do was basically ensure that the objectives were just so far apart, and that's what I had to ensure that I did. And that basically kept me in the game, because he can't string out across 72 inches, essentially.
Yeah, sure.
So there was a point in the game, turn 1, and we're going through the scores, and basically he had a guy about 5 inches away from his objective. And he then realised that he wasn't within 3 of that objective. And he said, it was my intention to make sure I had a model within 3 of it. And I said, you might have at the start, but remember you had to move that unit again so that another unit could get a fearless bubble off 6 inches and stuff like that. In the end, I let him have it. Again, because I thought you would have had the movement. Now, we didn't use a chess clock in this game. And to be honest, I probably should have used a chess clock, because he had so many more models, and there was a lot of thinking time to move all those models within all the coherencies and all the fearless bubbles that he had. So I don't know time-wise, but this game went right to the very, very last minute, and that hadn't happened to me yet before, because I've only got like literally 15 models in my army. So we should have just used a chess clock just to be sure. But anyway. Then what happened later on in the game, we had a really nice game. There was a little bit of movement problems as well, because he's got so many models. But yeah, in the end, the game... there's another point where he forgot to move a flyer. And we got to the shooting phase, and he was like, I forgot to move my flyer. Now, as rules written, that flyer should explode. Now, the reason why these things are so big in ETC is that basically that's a kill point. And that could be the difference. And obviously him not getting his first objective would have also been a very big point, and that would have made the game a 10-10, a dead-on draw. Okay. Yeah. Then essentially the game ends up going on to turn 6, and it ends up as a 12-8 to him. But yeah, we had a really nice game, and I was happy with how the game played. And again, I didn't tell him to explode his plane when it should have, because it didn't feel right to me for that to happen. But
we all make mistakes as well, don't we?
Yeah.
And that we've all done stuff like that, especially when you've got a lot of models on the board. Mm-hmm. I think that's great of you to be so sporting to do those 3 things.
The thing is, in the ETC, it is the World Cup, and there's a lot of players that don't play like that.
Yeah.
They play very cutthroat. If you make a mistake, you'll be punished for it. But I don't want to play any differently to how I would play if you played me in a singles event.
Yeah, sure.
And that, for me, is the best way to play.
So, good guy, great game, and I think that it was a bit of a joke with Henrik, but I think he had it down as a draw, and he was saying it was a win. My understanding was, and I didn't play in the ETC, but I played in ETC tournaments.
Yeah.
If it's within so many points, it's usually classed as a draw.
Yeah.
And it's maybe that we played that before or whatever. You know what I mean? But what you said to me, when you told me about it before, he was a great guy. He really enjoyed it. It was a good matchup. And you said Belgium were a great team as well.
Yeah. So I went over, and obviously I was chatting to Manny and Dan about it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's pretty much a draw." So that's kind of how. Obviously, there is, I don't know the exact differential, but for me, it was a pretty fair draw. Do you know what I mean? That game, and I'm sure Henrik would agree with that as well. So, Anyway, but we had a great game. We really did, and we had a really nice time about it.
How did your team get on against Belgium?
We won. We beat Belgium.
Was George playing for them that won Battlefield Birmingham last year from Team Draco?
Don't know.
He had 3 Knights and Gulliman list. I think he said that when the last time the lads interviewed him, said he was off to the ETC with Belgium.
Oh, I don't know. Not sure.
He would have been the one that was speaking English like a Cockney.
Don't think so.
No.
I could be wrong. Then basically, who did we then play? We then played Austria, I think, in the last round.
So this is game 6 now. So let's recap then. So game one was
Just
you went
quickly,
to
Adam Trotter in the chat, who obviously came with us, has just said 3 VPs is a win by 1 point. Yeah, I'm not sure.
okay.
Say that again.
So first of all, you've had UN2, and it's been a win for your team.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've played Canada. It's been a loss for your team.
Yeah.
Then you've had Greece,
Yeah.
and it was a loss. And then you've had, I'm sure it's Ukraine. You told me you played game 4.
Could be right. Yeah.
Then that was a win.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're up against Belgium.
Yeah.
You won against Belgium.
Yeah.
So you've got then 3 wins, 2 losses.
No, hang on a minute. We're on 2 wins at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we lost to. I'm sure.
Canada.
Yeah. Okay. So I can't remember if we beat Belgium or we beat Ukraine. I can't remember which way it was around now. I can't remember. I'm sure. Oh, Henrik's actually in the chat. So if I can't remember who won that round, basically. And then finally we were up against Austria. Yeah. And then I'm up against Necrons again, but this time the Necron player seized on me.
Oh well, karma.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't even get away with my seize unscathed because I got seized on. But basically, we had a really nice game, and he brought all 3 planes over into my deployment zone. And I asked him what his intention was. And he said, I want all my 3 planes to be within 12 inches of all of your planes.
Okay.
And I said,
so you haven't got the -1 from a laytop then?
Exactly. That's what he wanted to do.
So he's hitting at -1 unless you do lightning fast reactions, and then it's -2.
Yeah. Now, one of the planes was over 15 inches away.
Okay.
And at that point, I said to him, look, remember you need to measure to my base, not to my hull, because obviously the plane sticks forward a bit. Yeah. And he didn't know that. So, again, I told him, and he moved his plane forward that many inches to get within 12.
Great sportsmanship again, Steve.
Well, yeah, I thought so. But there is a but here.
Go on.
That did also mean, and bear in mind, guys, I explained to every single one of my opponents how the Incarn works. And that meant that he ended up moving one of his planes within 3 inches of my Incarn.
Okay.
So once he finished shooting, and I lightning fast one, and he didn't quite place them very well, in my opinion, because as soon as I lightning fast one, the other one was on a -2 again or -3.
Okay.
So he didn't end up killing anything.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, that's my turnover. And I had to say, I'm really sorry, but it's not your turnover just yet. Because I'm about to heroically intervene with the Incarn.
Yeah.
And he wasn't aware that if he doesn't make a charge, then I can still heroically intervene.
Had he played much Warhammer before?
Yeah.
That's not to be awful, but they're sort of really standard rules, aren't they? You know.
Yeah.
If you play a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
You come up against it from playing different armies. Anyway, he didn't know. You pointed it out to him. Okay.
Yeah. So I picked up a plane.
Was he a bit unhappy? Is that the point that you're trying to get across?
I mean, he wasn't happy about it. Yeah. I mean, I just picked up a plane, one of his croissants, real easy. Do you know what I mean? Because the Incarn, it's kind of pointless me even rolling with him. Because I've got seven attacks, 7 hits, 7 wounds, basically. You don't get a save, and I do d6 damage. So, yeah, he always kills a plane. So anyway, killed that one, and then in my first turn, then I shoot a plane down, and then I charge in the other plane with my Incarn. So the Incarn kills 2 in a turn, basically, and the Harlequin bites kill the other through Haywire.
Nice. Okay, so he's got his 3 croissants gone. His breakfast is over.
Yeah.
And then what happens next?
So then it's just a case of I'm picking up destroyers, I'm picking up his tomb blades, and I've got the board, and this objective as well was like, you pick your 2 cards that you want to score. So I scored both of those, and then I scored and you then draw 2 cards for every one you scored. And and then I just scored all 4 of them. So then I was drawing 8 cards, and I scored all 8 of them. And by this point, I've got the board. I'm everywhere. I'm killing everything. He doesn't really have much of a chance, and I think he concedes at turn 3.
Okay.
But yeah,
it's a 20-0 then.
It's a 20-0 to me. Yeah. So basically, at the end of that, I predicted that I would get 46 points, and I ended up on 96 points. So, even if which put me at like 23rd top scorer, but in ETC, even if you predict yourself to win 120 points, if you don't bring back 120 points, you haven't been successful. Success in a team isn't about being the top scorer. Even if I would have been predicted 0 and I'd have brought back, 12 points over the course of the weekend, I've still been successful because I've actually brought home 2 more points for my team than I was predicted.
So, and basically, I take it from the pairings, if everybody gets at least the points that they say they're going to get against that matchup, then what you can do is you can plot a win.
Yeah, exactly, because
you just got to get it to 86, haven't you? You know.
There's a game of the pairings, and like sometimes me and Olivia would be sat there, and he's got this little calculator, and he'd say, "Yeah, we are predicted 96 points at the end of this round if we all get our points." But then if some of your players don't get their points, and they were meant to get a 15, and they get a 0, then all of a sudden, even if you scored more, it's not quite enough to balance the round out. So anyway. But as a team, though, I tell you what, my team, the more games we played together, the better we got. Because some of the guys on my team have never done pairings before. They've never filled out a matrix before. They've never played in a team event before. They don't even speak English. So we really gelled as a team. And, I got better at pairings. I got better at communicating with them. We got better at picking boards. We got better at, giving accurate scores. And one of the things I said to the guys, and this is one thing I'm teaching on the mentorship this weekend to everyone in our beta test at the moment, is I'm going to, I say to everyone, look, just because you're predicted a 20-0 doesn't mean you need to get 20 points turn 1. Your list is stronger than your opponent's, so remember you've got 6 turns to win that game in, yeah? So you need to let the power of your list be the deciding factor. If you go out all guns blazing expecting to get a 20-0 and you start making mistakes, then you will be punished for it by a good player. You'll be absolutely punished for it. That's one thing that I'm going to be talking about on the mentorship program, is really understanding game flow, when to attack, when to defend, and also how to outplay a stronger list on paper by playing differently with your list. If you've got a list and you're just doing the same old thing time in, every single time, you're going to get absolutely smashed by those lists that should kill you. If you've got a list that you're able to play in different ways against different opponents, then you can actually outskill your opponent's better list and let them make the mistake because they're thinking, I'm going to win this. They get that hunger for it. I've seen it time and time again. I've been in a losing position in a game, in a tournament, and they just get trigger happy. They start making silly moves. They start to really get aggressive. And before you do it, you just make one thing happen. They make that one mistake, and then it just goes badly for them. They're out of position. They're not getting their buffs. They're not on the objectives they need. Because they try to just kill you. All right. So I'm excited to talk about that on Wednesday to our mentorship guys.
Sounds cool. So, before we move on to the questions, have you got anything else you want to talk about the ETC? Summary of your your enjoyment of it? Was it good? Will you be looking to go again next year?
Oh yeah, so I absolutely loved the team event. I really did. I'm not the biggest fan of Maelstrom cards, I'm not going to lie. I don't like randomness. I prefer the ITC format. But I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. And I know already the ETC are making changes. Like they're going to make it hopefully a 6-turn game, not random game length, which I think is really good. They really tightened up on chess blocks again. Exactly, that's one thing that needs to happen is chess blocks need to be, restricting the game and stuff. And everything's getting much tighter. Like the judges did an incredible job. Adam said, "Did I enjoy the singles?" No, I did not enjoy the singles. I'll be honest, I probably won't play in the singles event again because I'm going to want to save myself for the team event.
I've got a suggestion for next time.
Mm-hmm.
Fly.
Well, this time it's in Luxembourg, so it's only a day's travel.
Yeah, but you can still fly to Luxembourg, man. Right, I'll tell you what we could do, right? I'd like to come next year.
Okay.
So we get a lovely train there, so you can get I think the train these days goes to like Amsterdam in about 6 hours from London.
Yeah.
We could go first class, have a bit of dinner, stay in a nice hotel, not a crack den. Have a lovely time. Lovely job.
I've spoke to, and in one, I'm going to apply for the England team again this year. I'm going to apply if I get picked, and obviously the England team won the event, so they've got the strongest team there is on paper, and the guys there, every single player deserves their spot on that team. So I will apply again. Hopefully this year, having a lot more experience will put me in even better stead to make the England team, but who knows? But ultimately, I'm going to try. And then what's going to happen is I've spoke to Glasshammer. Now, they obviously stream the event in the games, right?
Yeah.
But what they don't have is a team of people streaming the wider game. Now, this is where Vanguard Tactics can come in. So, if you guys let us know in the chat and in these videos, if you want to see Vanguard Tactics at the next ETC, and I'll speak to obviously the ETC organisers, but potentially there could be a way there that we can hopefully, between us, review the entire event to give like a really good overview of what's going on. Not just this one table that Glasshammer will be showing, but maybe we could be going around doing interviews and all that kind of good stuff to, to interview these players, to find out how every team's getting on and all that kind of good stuff. So, loads of cool stuff that we could do in the future. And then Brian's just said, what about the ATC here in the States? I would love to go over and do the American Team Champs next year. For ITC. So, Brian, let's chat about it. Let's get it sorted. Vanguard Tactics to the ATC team event next year.
Sounds good.
That sounds good. Right, okay, so we've got some questions in the old Patreon and in the chat. So if you guys have got, the chat's gone mental, by the way, so thanks guys to everyone that's made a comment. So if you haven't, if you want a question answered, now is the time, please ask your question in the chat. Then I will go up and load Patreon and see what questions that we've got there. So next up for us, Mark, is Battlefield Birmingham, isn't it?
Sure is.
What list are you taking?
A horrible one. It's got. I need some game time with it, but I'm hoping that I'll get. Well, I'm not hoping, but I'll get 5 games with it with Battlefield.
Okay.
Ready for LGT.
Yeah.
Because I think it's much more of an ITC list than it is an ETC list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to reveal the horribleness of it until I played it. But we'll see how it goes.
Well,
There's still a custodes element to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Imperial soup list. I'm at phase 2 with custodes now. This is my second iteration of a custodes list, so let's see how we get on with it.
Nice. So thank you to Goblin Gaming. They have been sorting me out with a new army.
Oh, very nice.
So I could well be taking these boys.
Okay.
The boys in blue might be making an appearance. So I've started building them, spraying them, and if I can get these painted basically in time, I'll be rocking the new Space Marine Army at Battlefield Birmingham. Do you know what? I loved my Yanari Harlequin list. Absolutely loved it. There's loads of things I would change and I'd make it even cooler. But I like, again, for you guys on the channel as well, I want to show you, the more I learn about Space Marines, the only way you learn it is by playing it, right? So you can read the books, you can come up with these little fancy combos, but until you get on the table and practice it in an event, you don't know what you're talking about. So I want to be the person that basically, puts my money where my mouth is, so I can put these models on the table and tell you from experience, this combo works, this one didn't. Don't do it. Like the Chain Lord on paper is great, in practice not so good. So there's loads of stuff like that I want to explore. So I've got a list. I'm not going to reveal it yet because it's still some work in progress. I'm going to be doing a test of it tomorrow. It's got some brilliant matchups. It's also got some horrible matchups. So as long as I can, dodge the horrible ones, then I might be all right. But it could be Space Marines for me.
Sounds good, mate.
And if not, I'll play Harlequins. Right?
I think all 4 of us are working on a Space Marines list at the minute.
Yeah.
We're all going for different stuff.
Yeah.
I've like 200 quid worth of models on the way from Goblin. But my list is a bit of a passion project. It's I'm still committed to trying to work with customs for a bit. We'll see how we get on.
Nice.
It's a White Scars orientated list.
No, it sounds good, and I think I'll be running Ultramarines. So, Adam said in the chat he's been writing some lists. We can have a chat for sure. That sounds good, mate. I'll drop you a message. Brian said, yeah, which team had the loaded dice? So that was it. One player brought a loaded dice to the event.
It wasn't for 1, I take it.
No, it was a 6, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, there was apparently this player did use this dice, and there was some shady stuff going on with this player, and they did end up getting a red card and escorted out of the venue. Neil came over to tell me, who's the head judge, and I'm getting Neil on as well. He's agreed to come on the show, and we're going to chat, because Neil's great. He's such a good referee, does not take any rubbish, and for me, I'll be honest, I think Neil should be at every single 40k event there is. I want to make Neil the most professional ref there is. He's the main man when it comes to refereeing. And you're in safe hands when you've got a referee like that. And he makes the event. And if he can handle the ETC players, and some of them have not got the best reputation, I'm going to say that, he can do anything. So I really think we need to be pushing Neil to be at all the big events. So if you're a TO, get Neil there. Charge everyone an extra $5 so you can fly Neil over and get him to ref your event. And I'll tell you a reason. A, it takes a lot of stress off you as a TO. And B, the players will love you for it. And it will really make your event. So do it. And basically, I'm not going to announce the name of the player or the country that they played for because the ETC have decided not to say their name. But I did say to Neil, why didn't you come and get me before you threw him out? Because I'd have happily done it.
Steve in his vest, the bouncer.
I would have loved to give him a very stern talking to. Because when you have to cheat a game of toys, probably want a good, hard look in the mirror.
Yeah, indeed.
And reevaluate your life,
Right. That was Oprah's message for today.
Yeah.
Next question, please.
The controversial... what else is said here? Battlefield Birmingham has a tournament. Not sure I heard it correctly. Yeah, Battlefield Birmingham is in a couple of weeks in Birmingham.
It's a GT. I think it's a 110-man tournament. It's a brilliant event.
Yeah.
The Harry that puts it on and the rest of the guys are awesome. It sells out immediately. So when the tickets go on sale, I think it sells out within 2 days usually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get, they'll probably announce another one shortly after this one, for the next one. If you can get a ticket for it, it's a really, really good event.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's really good. If you're listening, can you please submit your points to ITC so we can get some points, please?
Sounds good.
Harry, you need to do that, okay? I beg you, from the whole of Vanguard Tactics and everyone in the chat, submit the points to ITC, because currently they don't happen. Battlefield Berlin, it's Battlefield Birmingham.
Okay.
Yeah, he said. Someone said... Ari said, by the way, thanks to VT, I've been rocking my Chaos Knights, and after each game, everybody has been scared by my double rapid-fire battle cannon knight. Thanks for the help. Exactly. That's it. Oh, Adam said I wasn't even wearing a vest. That is true. I did play a couple of games shirtless because it was 37 degrees. Yep. And if I could have played in my pants or naked, I would have. It was that hot. It was literally a sauna. They did have airco on, but all the windows were open, so it didn't do great. Someone said you should name and shame the guys. If other players face the cheater, they might be prepared. Cheating in Warhammer, it's not really my place to name and shame the guy. In fact, I don't even know his name. I just know the team he played for. So
if the ETC have not decided to name him, then that's up to them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's come from a higher power, basically, and obviously, you know, I'm not looking to cause any fights. Jack said, Steve, I've been struggling to find tournaments. Is the time before they sell out? When do you see some good ones? Could you email them going forward, please? Yeah, if you're a TO, guys, email over the details. I've had a couple of TOs email me about their event, but they haven't really given me enough details. Look, I'll be honest, I'm only going to support events that are either ETC or ITC format, that submit the points to Frontline Gaming, that have got good terrain, they have good referees there, that they're well organised, and basically they use chess clocks, okay? Because if it's not going to meet those standards, I'm not going to promote it for you, okay? And that's just the way it's going to be, because I want to make sure anything I say, look guys, this is good, that you guys respect. If I do say it's good, it's a good one. Andy said, how did the live stream against Chaos go? Went dreadful, Andy. Someone said, someone said about Russia, they did get basically 3 yellow cards for slow play, which is why they didn't win the event, although they had more points, technically. That's it. And then on the Patreon, Jared said, what can ITC primarily players take away from the streams at ETC? If you're watching the stream, you're playing the best players you're seeing the best players in the world play. And if you can play well in ETC format as an ITC player, you're going to learn a lot, because ETC players know how to control the game so much better than a singles player. That's one thing I've learned that's really enhanced my game, is understanding the tempo and the flow of the game. It gives you so many more layers, so many more dimensions to it. And there is an element there that an ETC list is very good at. If it's good in ETC, it's good at scoring points, and it's good at being everywhere on the table. And that's often what you need in an ITC mission to get that hold and that hold more. So you can take a good holding ETC list and make it a good holding ITC list. So yeah. Then Jack said, this may be too specific to cover on a video, but if not, I noticed that Michael, one of your guys, used a list with Magnus and Morty in the doubles, Thermal Cannon Knight and a Little Knight. It's basically the same list that I've run, but always kind of assumed it was too nice to use competitively. What do you think of the list? Does it work in a team-based tournament? Yeah, basically that list, it's so tricksy, and it's got some horrible matchups, but it's also got some really good matchups. So when you've got a knight like that, an army like that, and you can just get rid of, like the rest of our army can soak up all of its bad matchups, all of a sudden the Renegade Knight list, Magnus and Morty, when it does get a favourable matchup, it just goes in and steamrolls. I remember him playing Austria. He played against like the Eldar Flyer list, and he went first. He deployed on the line, went first, and he tabled his opponent by like turn 3. It was ridiculous. So it's a win big, lose big list, but it's sometimes nice to have in your army, because it also scares them as well, and it makes them make different decisions and choices that they might not want to do. So anyway, that's all the chat. Guys, remember, below, ITC Masterclass. Sign up for it completely for free. It's in the description. Go sign up for it. Do not delay. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. And if you ever get any questions, feel free to email me if you're on our email list, which you can sign up for at www.vanguardtactics.com. Cool. Anything else, Mark?
That's it, mate. Thank you very much for running us through that.
And remember this, guys, we've got 2 videos coming out this week. 1 is White Scars combos, and 2, you can see my Yannari Harlequins in action versus the White Scars. Make sure you watch that battle report right to the end. It swings big time. So it became a very, very close game. At the start, I'll be honest, it looks like I absolutely smash it. But those Marines, they've got a lot better, and they're a lot more durable than I think we've ever given them credit for. So make sure you do watch that battle report. I've got now 12 hours of editing ahead of me, so hopefully I get it done in time, ready for this, and get it out this week for you guys. So anyway, thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Goblin Gaming for the support of this channel as always. Thanks to the ETC for putting on such an amazing event, and thanks to the Glasshammer guys for taking me over there. Adam, Manny, and Dan, you absolute legends, and also congratulations to the England team and everyone else who played at the ETC. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait for next year. Anything from you, Mark?
That's it. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, guys. Well, see you maybe next week on another VT. I think that we're going to put out another one. We'll talk about the Space Marine stuff a little bit.
Yeah, sounds
good. We'll plan it between us. So all the best and good night.
And thank you, Mark. See you later, mate.
Cheers, mate. See you. Bye.
We're still live, by the way.